had even people tell me that I just don't look like the person who would lead the company that's going to change the chemical industry.
Oh, my goodness.
I wanted to quit because I didn't think I was good enough. When I realized that I wanted to work on building this AI tool for chemistry, it was something that hadn't been done before. The chemical industry makes over 96% of the things that we see around us every day, but it's also the third largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. And I wanted to change that.
I believe in you and what you're doing and how much it's going to improve so many people's lives around the globe.
If you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to really put everything you have into it, you have everything at your disposal. When somebody told you that your dream was impossible, change the world.
One day we'll have to be there ringing the bell when Sunthetics
All together.
launches an IPO.
Let's do this.
It's going to happen. Hello, Money Movers. Welcome to another episode of Her Money Moves. And we are in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest at the Snapchat's Activation Festival over here at the Sanctuary. And I have the pleasure of interviewing a woman who I met at Latitude Ventures in Miami last year. And I cannot stop thinking about you. So impressed with this incredibly disruptive technology that she has created with her company, Sunthetics. Please welcome my amazing guest, Daniela Blanco.
Thank you so much for having me. You're too kind. Honestly, you are the best, but I'm so lucky and so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So you have been, traveling the world. I can barely even get it. I really got so lucky that you were here in Austin at the same time because just last week you were in Switzerland and Munich. Yeah, so you're everywhere around the globe. So please tell us about your journey because I know when we first met, what a connection. And I really have been like, okay, I want to help you. I want to, do anything that I can. Of course, you don't even need our help because you've already raised $1 million from the National Science Foundation. So tell us, how did you get started?
Yeah, so let's see. I am originally from Venezuela. So I am a chemical engineer by training. Ever since I was little, I wanted to be part of the biggest industry we had, which is the oil industry. And I grew up, became a chemical engineer, started working with them. And I realized that although the chemical industry makes over 96% of the things that we see around us every day, the clothes that we're wearing, the medicine that we take every day, the makeup that we put on, all of that is the chemical industry. Amazing products, but it's also the third largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. And I wanted to change that. It didn't sit right with me. So I came to the US to do a PhD in chemical engineering and learn how to develop sustainable technologies on my own. My PhD was about optimizing one chemical process to make it more sustainable. And it took me 3.5 years of my life stuck in the lab, running experiments one after one, trying to get it to work in the best possible and the most sustainable way. And eventually I realized that that's why the chemical industry is not more sustainable. We are not fast enough at developing sustainable technologies. And that's when I started thinking that I wanted to develop an AI tool that scientists could use on their day-to-day lives to be faster, to be more efficient, to achieve that type of performance that we don't normally get. And although I never thought I would be an entrepreneur myself, I guess the pieces ended up all falling together. And here I am as the founder and the CEO of the company that is commercializing this technology.
Amazing.
Again, I was doing the PhD, right? And it's very academic, technical work. What you discover in the lab goes into a publication. And what I kept asking people, my advisor, everyone was, if I discover something amazing for the chemical industry, how do I make sure that it gets implemented at scale? And everyone would tell me, well, you publish it, and then you hope that somebody with a business background picks up on it and wants to commercialize that and then scale it up. And I kept thinking that's a big if. If somebody sees it, if the right person gets interested in it, if they have the tools to then push it forward. And I was like, what if I learn a little bit about that just to be safe, just to supplant me, something that I can potentially do. I tried to take business classes at the university, but they weren't paid by the PhD. So I couldn't do that. And I couldn't afford those classes myself at NYU. So I realized that NYU had an entrepreneurial institute, and it was free for a student who had an idea. You could go pitch an idea that you had, and they would help you go through what a customer interview was, how the market was supposed to be analyzed to see if it makes sense. And you could actually grow that into a working company. And I started going there, balancing my time between the PhD, the work in the lab, and then the Entrepreneurial Institute. I even signed up for these entrepreneurial competitions, thinking that I would lose because, again, I wasn't the one with a business background and I didn't think we stood a chance. But it was more an idea of let's strategically lose, like let's learn from this competition. Let's use the information on what they're asking so that we know what we have to be thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And surprise for everyone, I think, we won the competition, got 100K, and then we had to incorporate because there's money that's going to the company. And at that point, we didn't have a company. It was just an idea. So that's how everything started. It happened without me realizing that it was going to happen.
Amazing. So I personally know how difficult and challenging it is, especially as a Latina, to raise $1 million. So, I mean, it is exceptional that you received a grant for $1 million from the National Science Foundation. Can you give some tips and strategies to our audience on how you did that?
Yes, definitely. Okay, so here's the truth. Imagine this, right? When I realized that I wanted to work on building this AI tool for chemistry, it was something that hadn't been done before because I needed AI to work with small data. That's not the typical AI that you see around you. So the risk around this technology was incredibly high. Pretty much anyone around me that I pitched this to would say, nobody has done this before. There must be a reason for that. And you didn't study AI. So why would you be the one to figure it out?
Mm.
It was an incredibly risky decision for everyone. So raising, like money from investors would have been incredibly hard. And what I did is that I was lucky enough to build a company with 1.75 million of non-dilutive capital. 1 million of that is from the National Science Foundation. That's our most recent grant. The rest of it has been through grants and competitions. From the NYU Entrepreneurial Institute, we got money from NYSERDA at the New York State, competitions like the Global Entrepreneurs Award, anything that would be a competition that would teach me something, but that also had, a pitch with which I could get money to continue funding that technology, I signed up for it. And it is incredible because this country is really made for people who have big ideas. It is a country of opportunities. And if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to really put everything you have into it, you have everything at your disposal. And I feel like you have seen that too, right? With everything that women around us build. Sometimes I feel like we don't realize that we don't need to have the money ourselves alone. We don't need to know everything on our own.
Mm-hmm.
But if we are willing to find where those resources are, it comes together. I think for anyone, any entrepreneur, girl, guy, anyone who has an idea, who's too risky, who feels like me, like it's never going to get funded because nobody thinks it will even be possible. There is so much that the government is doing, that the states are supporting, that investors who believe in that vision will support. And that I think is really the magic of entrepreneurship, finding those right links so that when you build it, you've had the right supporters.
Mm-hmm. Well, Daniela, I mean, it's beautiful that you have a resilient spirit, to persevere, that no matter how many people said no and tried to deter you and convince you that because nobody else did it, why you? And you have that belief and that confidence in yourself and in your skills to still go for it. And wow, I mean, you are now disrupting the chemical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the beauty industry, and that is incredible.
Thank you. It has been really hard, something that I have said out loud before and like publicly is that when we hear success stories, we always hear the pretty part of them.
Mm-hmm.
We always hear the ending, and everything worked out and she made it and he did it and, their dreams came true. But we don't really get to hear how much they struggled to make it there. I remember that when I got to the PhD, I wanted to quit because I didn't think I was good enough. I was so behind everyone else in my class. I was coming from Venezuela, and my school was incredible. I went to Universidad Simón Bolívar, and they were incredible, teaching me so much. But just our labs didn't have the same resources. So when I first made it to NYU, I didn't know what anything around me was. And that was really tough because I realized I was the only one feeling that. So I remember thinking, am I going to be able to not just catch up, but then still, be good enough so that I can lead anything, so that I can feel good with my contribution in this field? And I remember my mom told me, you have to give yourself a chance. Don't think about it as in like you have to do it in one night, in 1 week. Give yourself a chance to learn. If you still feel like this is not what's making you happy, then it's okay to walk away. But you can't say no to yourself when you have not given yourself a chance.
Wow. That's amazing.
And I think I've
Amazing
kept that
advice.
with me because, when we're fundraising, it's the same thing. It's so many no's. It's so many things that don't work in research. It's like that. When we're working in research and building something new, you're working at the limit of what is known. So there is no map. Nobody knows how to make it work. And the truth is that you're probably going to fail 100 times before you get one tiny part of it to work well. So I think that we have to get used to the fact that a no is just another step, turning around and getting in the right direction to that yes that you have been truly looking for. Those no's that sometimes we're so sad about, they're usually blessings in disguise. And it just means that that was not the right place for it. But I always live my life trusting that if things are meant to happen, they always find a way.
I know how difficult it is, being a young CEO, being an entrepreneur. I mean, I just recently made the transition myself, 2 years ago after a 22-year corporate career. And I mean, you're arguably one of the youngest CEOs. Can you share some tips and strategies on how you've been able to carve this out for yourself and for your company and be so successful?
I definitely want to hear what worked for you. But I think for me, it was really owning who I am. I think that I realized nobody can make you feel less unless you let them. You have at a certain level to agree with what they're saying. And it has been really tough for me. I have had even people tell me that I just don't look like the person who would lead the company that's going to change the chemical industry.
Oh, my goodness.
That I should probably find someone who looks more like that to then pitch it.
No.
That it was fine if I built the technology, but that I was not the face for it.
What?
And then what I kept repeating was, well, if I built it and I know it, why can I not be the one to explain it? It is true that, in a lot of situations, it can make things a little bit harder because there is a certain bump that we have to get through. We have to build that credibility. But then that's what I decided to make in my career, very thoughtful decisions so that I could build my credibility, so that people could rely on what they were reading about me, what they were seeing about me, what they were seeing on the company. I would partner with the people who really believed in us. It didn't matter that it was 2, that it was 3, that it wasn't a lot of them. They were people who were willing to give us a shot. And if I did it right, then I could use that to show others. So I think that was a trick for me. Realizing that I'm going to get further if I am comfortable in my own shoes. Because at the end of the day, I built this because I believe in it. And I can speak to that. Anyone else who comes just with the right face might not feel the same thing that I feel of this technology, of this dream, of this vision for the industry.
Well, tell us about this dream and this vision and this technology that you're building.
Yes, we have built an incredible machine learning platform. It is easy to use and it brings together knowledge from the chemical industry and knowledge from the machine learning developments that have been going on for years. They combine to make the first generation of algorithms that use very small data to predict how chemical reactions behave. To give an example of how this works, as I said, everything we see around us is made by the chemical industry. So any medicine you took this morning, anything you're wearing today, a component in your phone, there was a scientist in the chemical industry who had to develop a process to make that. And the way they did it is by running experiments in the lab. following their intuition, doing trial and error. If you even think about Thomas Edison when he was making the material for the light bulb, he had over 1,000 trials that went wrong before he found the right one that would actually make the material for the light bulb. So this happens every day. And what we have developed is a platform so a scientist, instead of having to be in the lab for 100 experiments, they can run 5. They can give that to our algorithms, and then we tell them what experiments to run next to take them to the performance that they're looking for, to take them to that material they have been looking for. What you end up getting is scientists that are 32 times faster at finding that next cure for cancer, that biodegradable plastic that we haven't been seeing, that next chemical that is going to be better but also more sustainable. It's about making innovation faster. It's about making it more sustainable.
Wow. And where are you now on your journey with the technology?
We have built a technology. We have tested it. All of 2023 was about piloting with key strategic industrial companies, really world leaders in pharmaceuticals, in beauty. I can't say their names here, but they are huge and they have been piloting the technology. The results are incredible. 2 to 32 times faster science, up to 75% reduction of raw materials, expensive, toxic materials in the processes. And so this year we just launched because last year they piloted with a beta. So we just launched the new version of the product and we're scaling up on sales and offering now openly the product to more companies to use it. So this is a year where we're going to put it in the hands of a lot of scientists, all the scientists that we have been really designing and dreaming of having used it before.
So amazing. Every day, like you said, there's chemicals and all the materials and what we eat as well.
Yes.
And we don't know. And there's like so many different diseases that are popping up and, people are suffering, but we don't know what is inside, what the ingredients are.
Yes. No, it is true. It is true. There is so much. It's funny because sometimes there is so much innovation that happens, right? You keep adding additives, you keep adding this, food keeps changing, even our makeup, there's so much that is going on. And I think that a lot of it is for the right reasons. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of beauty companies are actually reformulating their entire portfolios of products to make them bio-based, to make sure that they don't have toxic materials, that they're reducing emissions. And all of that.
It's about time.
Yes, exactly. And all of that is science that needs to be kind of like redone, reformulated. You have to remake that product now in the right ratio so that you get the same performance, even if you have a bio-based material now. So that is a type of science that we are fast tracking with our technology. I decided I was going to get into science, according to my mom, when I was 4 years old. Because I remember at school, there was this teacher and she took a couple of chicken bones and she put one of them in a glass of water and she put the other one in a glass of Coke. And I don't remember how long it was. She left them there. I just remember that as a 4-year-old kid, when I went back and I saw that the bone that had been in the Coke was completely destroyed, I remember going back home and telling my mom, like, what is that? I mean, what is happening? How could that happen? How do I fix that? What do I have to be to grow up and do this differently? And then what my mom told me was that, that's science. There's so many different types of science that you can do. But, you can help with that if you go down the science path. And then I remember telling her, and she remembers this very clearly, that I told her, well, that's what I want to do. I want to do the good kind of science. I don't know exactly what that means. I'll figure it out along the way. But that's the science that I want to do, the science that helps people. And yeah, I think at first I thought I was going to study medicine. Then I changed my mind, went for chemical engineering. Then when I first started doing my PhD thesis, I was working on making solar-powered chemicals because I thought that was like the type of good science that I wanted to do. And then my heart just fell for this AI revolution and trying to make sure that we were using AI for the right reasons and for the right impact. So I guess, I don't know, sometimes I feel like what you feel in your heart, you don't know how it's going to happen. But if you take away those superficial things that we have about our dreams, the details that we imagine, if we forget about those for a second and we just remember why we're doing this and what we're really after, we'll realize that the path is probably going to take 85,000 more turns than we expected. But it is going to take us to that same ending. It is the same dream that we have had forever.
Yes. Well, you are such a huge, amazing role model for young girls and for, well,
How about
all
you?
women.
You're my role model.
Oh, thank you. And, we need to have more girls in STEM.
Yes,
Yeah. I mean,
definitely.
do you have any, like, what are some of your ideas of how we can get more girls interested in STEM careers?
This is a very difficult question because I wish I had a straightforward answer that would make me feel like we're going to fix this if we just do this. I think there is a lot that needs to happen. There is a lot that needs to change in people's mindsets. But what I would say is if you're a girl, right, and you have this dream and you want to be part of this industry, of this sector where there are not a lot of women, although it feels like a disadvantage, I choose to see it as the opposite. We have something so unique to bring to the equation that hasn't been seen before. We have a perspective that they haven't had, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
So I say instead of having to hide ourselves or trying to pretend to be like everyone else we're seeing around us, let's own who we are. Let's own those things that we believe in. Let's own that little thing that keeps bothering us in our mind that we are like, why hasn't someone been asking this? Because usually those questions, those little parts of our perspective that we're bringing to the table and that make us feel like this is so different from what everyone else is saying, those are the ones that make the real difference. So I think that's where our superpower is. And I think that's how we take on all of these fields where there is not a lot of women. We just have to learn how to be comfortable being us.
Yes, we do. I left corporate 2 years ago and I've experienced so many new amazing things and that I never even imagined for myself. And I mean, you have been on a TEDx speaker, Disney Plus documentary. I mean, so many incredible things could you even have imagined that your journey would have taken you along this path?
Never, never. It's so funny. These opportunities come up, and I really believe in this, this idea of you work hard and you just focus on what you're doing, and then opportunities came up and people start paying attention, and then you can get to speak about what you're doing and get more people interested and get them excited about it. I always feel like it's never wrong to do the right thing. So if it feels right, if it's a TEDx talk, some sort of competition, something that ends up being a documentary on Disney Plus, even if it scares me because it's not the type of thing that I'm used to or that I thought I would be doing, that I was, let's say, trained to do, or that I, thought I would have a role to play in, I feel like when there are good opportunities, we cannot be the first ones to tell ourselves no. There's so many things that other people are going to say no to us, that when these ones open up, we owe it to ourselves to at least give it a try. I always feel like it's out of those situations that put you at the most kind of like uncomfortable, points where you don't know what you're doing, where it's so much that you don't understand, and you feel like this fish out of water. That's where you learn the most. That's where you really grow the most. So
yes, getting out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. I would be lying to you if I told you that I looked for those things that, sometimes I feel like the TEDx people found me. The documentary people found me. All of these things, they have found me. The most recent one, it happened at the end of last year. I was part of this incredible article with another set of amazing, truly amazing women. And we were on the Cosmo magazine. And I just remember, like being on the call with them when we were all introducing ourselves. And I was like, well, if there is one thing I didn't think I was going to get when I decided to go as a chemical engineer, was that I would end up in Cosmopolitan magazine. Like, you're not ready for this. Like, I thought my life was going to be like the helmets, the boots and all of that stuff in the chemical factories. And then instead, life takes you down a certain path and you just keep building. You just keep making your best out of every opportunity that presents itself. I think life has a way of showing your story even when you don't want it, probably because it's going to help someone else.
Yes.
So that's why I always say yes to those opportunities. You never know who's listening.
That's right. And I know for a fact that so many women are going to be so inspired and learn so much
That's why we
from
do
hearing
this.
your story. Yes. And, the same thing for me. I never imagined that I would have this incredible, groundbreaking podcast about women's financial empowerment.
Yes.
I mean, and now.
And dream big ventures.
And dream big
supporting all of
ventures.
these incredible ideas. How does that feel to be the one who actually makes those ideas happen?
It feels pretty good. It feels pretty good. And I think really my daughter Sophia, it reassures that fact because on career day at school, like she dressed up like me.
I love that.
I'm actually a role model for my child, and
that is the sweetest thing.
It's such an honor. But yes, and hearing just from testimonials from women of how the show or when they've heard me speak, just how it transformed their life. Yeah, it's incredible.
It is very
I'm grateful
powerful,
for this and to be able to be on this path to impact other people's lives. Like there's nothing more satisfying.
You're doing something amazing. I mean it. Especially, as an investor, I think that something I have realized because we're very fortunate. We have raised the 1.75 million of non-dilutive funds, but I also went out to fundraise a couple of years ago. And we were very lucky. We were oversubscribed. We have right now 1.5 million of dilutive funding in the company. But I realized that, the hard part, although finding the money is hard, finding those investors that say yes is definitely hard. The hardest part is not even that. The hardest part is making sure that the investors that are behind that money are the right investors for you.
Mm-hmm.
Money can come and money can go. But these people are signing to be the ones that are behind you for the rest of your journey. I think that startups in particular have so many ups and downs that when you're very low, very down, it means the world to be able to call one of your investors or to have a meeting with them and tell them what's going on. And instead of having them be mean or stressed out or something, have them be kind of like that, that voice of reason, that support that you had been looking for, to know that, it's not just happening to you, because that's the biggest thing that we don't realize as entrepreneurs. When we think we're drowning, we think we're the only ones who have drowned in this ocean. Yes. And that's not true. Everyone has been here. They just don't say it. So yeah, having those investors that will tell you it's normal. People go through this, but you can do this. My investors are the people who have also been the ones to tell me you don't need someone else to sell because you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you sold that idea to me, so you can sell it to the company that's looking for it.
Yes.
And that is really powerful. So if somebody as an entrepreneur is listening to us, don't just look for the money, look for that type of support, because that's what really makes the difference.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like being in a marriage. It's
Totally.
It's a long-term committed relationship.
Totally.
So you want to make sure that they are the right investors who are there in your corner.
Exactly.
They want the best and don't just take anybody's money. Not every,
Yep.
It's not always good in the right.
100%, yes.
I get so excited anytime even I'm around other investors and other VCs, and when they're like, oh, we invest in life sciences or bio, and I mean immediately I'm like, Daniela. I'm like, I have this Latina founder. She is incredible, and I'm going to intro you. And I have done that. Yes, because I mean, from our very first meeting, I believe in you and what you're doing and how much it's going to improve so many people's lives around the globe. I mean, you're fearless and have the courage, to take this on. And, I just wanted to thank you for that. And I'm always here to support you and help you along this journey.
No, thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
And we need a Latina to IPO. So, that's going to be you. I know it. I believe
We're doing our very best to grow this, but you're totally right. You've been so incredible from the beginning. And yeah, I can't wait for you to be part of everything we're building too. You already are, because you're supporting us so much. So yes, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all you do. I think that also if other entrepreneurs are hearing us, if other investors, anything, This is the girl. This is the woman you have to talk to. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. So before I end any episode, I always love to ask, what are you dreaming bigger about next?
Oh, I love and I dread this question because sometimes I feel like I have so many dreams. That's the truth. I have so many dreams. I have imagined so many different scenarios. Like, wait, are we talking specifically about the company? Or
It's all you. Your dreams, whatever you want. It could be about the company, it could be about anything.
you know, recently I have been thinking more and more that I love not just the product that we have been able to build, because I dreamt of it for so long, but now I'm so proud of the team that we have built in the company. The team is incredible. They feel like this product is their baby just as much as it's mine. They are so committed to every company, to every user that's leveraging it. Every time we hear of a new scientist developing something cool new with it, and I go back to them, they're all celebrating so much. And I feel like it has become such a safe space for people with different backgrounds, different genders, different ideas, different perspectives to come together and to feel like they can really make a difference. We are such a diverse team. And I dream of building that at a larger scale, of continuing bringing people from so many different backgrounds and genders so that they can feel like they can make a difference. Doesn't matter what you studied, doesn't matter what people told you that you could or could not do, doesn't matter, when somebody told you that your dream was impossible. I want them to feel like when they come work with us, when they come collaborate with us, they're being part of that something huge that is really going to change the world. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Cannot wait to just learn all of the incredible strides that you all are making. And, recently with Libra Leaders, it launched on International Women's Day, all Latina investors investing with Latina founders. And, it was so special when we had that call and pitch. And I'm sure that probably was one of the first times that it's been all Latina investors.
I know. It was so nice to see. It was so great. The vibe, everyone was so amazing. It was incredible, so special.
Yeah. Well, one day we'll have to be there ringing the bell when Sunthetics
all together
launches an IPO.
Let's do this.
It's going to happen.
Let's dream it.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
So proud of you. Thank you.
I'm moving you.